The hardest, toughest days are ahead, folks, but you know what? Riyadh, Berlin, Beijing, Moscow, the city of London, right here. This is not beatable. You can't, the only way we lose is if we quit. The only way we don't have victory if we surrender. The only way that they win is we retreat, and we're not going to retreat. We're not going to surrender. We're not going to quit. Fight, fight, fight.
Did you see that? Did you?
Alright people, here we are, kicking off the week with another Brews at 10 here on My Left Eye. Welcome one, welcome all. I'm your host Lefty, here on a channel all about politics and society from a left-wing point of view, perspective, whatever you want to put it. Hope you're all brewing well this evening. Great to see a few of you are in the chat already. We've got Chris, we've got Morbius, we've got BUFU Mike, great to see you. Jacqueline, welcome to you also, and Kit, Solidari-Tea to every single one of you. Yes, Jacqueline, good point about the poll. I've put up a poll, please do respond. The question is, who's going to quit first? Is it going to be Starmer? Is it going to be Zelensky? But it's who you think will quit first, not who you want to quit first. That's important. It's who will quit first, rather than who would you like to quit first. Just a bit of clarity there, a bit of clarity. And as well as a bit of banter about politics and society, we do like to throw a few tea-based puns around the place here on the Brews at 10 weekday streams, coming to you mostly on Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, which features PMQs, usually when they're not on a break. So great to see you all brewing nicely. Please do make sure you've hit thumbs up on the stream, whether you're watching live or back on a replay. Really does help to get the channel around the YouTube algorithm. Give us a share and a follow on social media as well. You can follow us on Blue Sky at My Left Eye UK. Dots, all the rest of it. And Mastodon as well. You could give us a follow on Twitter as well for what it's worth, but we will be joining the mass exodus very shortly. Prefer people to join us on Blue Sky and Mastodon for now. So I'll be leaving the poll open until the end of the stream. If you're just joining us, please do vote. Democracy is important, of course, and we'll be discussing, I'm sure, the subject of democracy might rear its head on tonight's stream, I dare say. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, their thems and comrades alike. So this evening I'll be catching up on some of the stories I mentioned on last night's Sunday live stream. There have been some developments with some of those stories, as well as some breaking stories from today. Keeping you up to speed with everything, quality streaming, quality, here on My Left Eye. Kira, welcome to the chat, and thanks a lot for sharing some of the static emojis. Yes, just one of the perks of being a member, and that gives me a great segue to give a customary thank you to all the members on the channel. Thanks a lot for that, Kira. I can see Keith there in Palestine. Always great to see shows of solidarity with Palestine in the chat. We've got Tony Blair there with his war landscape holiday selfie, and a young Diane Abbott as well is one of the benefits, one of the perks of becoming a member on the channel, those static emojis. Other benefits include early viewings, exclusive content, please do check them out. You can join this list of incredible people, the legends that are the Brew Crew, on your screen for just 99 pence. So please do check that out. Thanks to those of you who've gifted memberships lately as well. Always like to give a special thanks to those of you who've done that, as well as use super thanks and super chats as well. Thanks for your ongoing support on the channel. I was going to set a goal this evening actually. I've not done that before on one of the live streams, but you can only do that for super chat. So I'm looking potentially this evening, people, to gain 16 members on the channel, and that will take us over the centenary, the 100 mark. We'll have reached the ton. It's been fluctuating between 70 and 90 for some time now. Well, let's see. Let's see what happens, people. I'm going to bring you up in the chat so we can see everyone. Just make some room. A few good people there. And there we go. Great to see you on screen. Mind your language and your puns, people. You're on the internet now. Eddie, great to see you in the chat. Welcome back, brother. And Kit, thanks for the 5 gifted memberships. Awesome. That's 5 down, 11 to go, people. Thank you very much for that contribution, Kit. Solidari-Tea. For your continued support on the channel. And you recently celebrated a milestone as well, I remember on a recent stream. Was that 7 or 8 months? Great stuff. Thanks for sticking with the channel. Tim Dale, welcome to the chat. Nice to see you tonight. And Michael H, thanks for dropping in. We're brewing very nicely. We're just getting warmed up. As warm as a tasty hot beverage or a cup of Solidari-Tea. Whatever you're drinking tonight, you're all welcome. Here, Morbius, thank you very much for that gifted membership. So 10 to go, we're just 10. According to my calculations, I did download the latest members list very shortly before I came on. We're on 74. So that would take us up to 90, so thank you very much indeed. Great start to the stream. Hope new members all enjoy your perks if you're listening back on a replay or live. What else is coming up? A bit more about the German elections, which took place yesterday. There's been a Labour MP, well, he was a former Labour MP today. At the time he was sent to prison for assaulting someone in the streets. You might remember that story from a while back. So bringing you latest on that. A few other bits and pieces as well. Got some light-hearted moments. Always like to start off with a bit of comedy, a bit of something uplifting as we doom scroll through the third trimester of the birth of World War III, question mark, potentially, you know. And climate crisis, anyone? Yeah. So we like to kick off on a high as we go through a whirlwind of emotions. I can't guarantee that there won't be any slightly agitated rants tonight. Hedy, thank you very much for that, brother. Wow, fantastic stuff. Okay, so there we are. We're well on the way to 100 members. That's going to be a new milestone for the channel. Awesome. Oh, thank you so much, people. Legendary Brew Crew. So yeah, that's exactly 16. That takes us to exactly 100. I think there were 84 members when I came onto the stream. And yes, a shot and a bullseye for getting Davinia a membership. She's not jumped on the stream yet this evening. For those of you wondering what that's all about, it selects random subscribers a gifted membership. You can't actually select who receives them, and Davinia, we were playing a bit of a game the other week. It was almost like darts, you know, shot and a miss, trying to get Davinia a membership. But there you go, target achieved. I'm just scrolling through the chat. Yep. Don't think she's in yet this evening. But Guitar Guy is great to see you back once more. Yes, raise fist, Solidari-Tea, brother. And what else have I got coming up story-wise? Yeah, the Waspy Women, an update on their situation and this ongoing pension scam. Latest on the Ukraine talks as well, including, unfortunately, people, I'm going to have to subject you to a little bit, just a little bit, of former Prime Minister of the UK, Alexander Boris Faffel Johnson. De Faffel. I don't know, maybe it's a common name down there, I don't know. Red F, great to see you also. So yeah, plenty to get our teeth into. I'll be starting off with a comedy clip I've had on the shelf for a bit now. I'm glad I can bring it to you on tonight's stream. We did have a good couple of clips yesterday on Sunday. It's the latest from Matt Green, another great YouTuber. Okay, well, it's still looking pretty tight on the pole at the moment, but more on that later. Okay, people, let us begin. So please do give Matt Green a follow if you don't already. I'm sure a lot of you are more than familiar with him by now. I've been giving him quite a few plugs lately. I've been following him for quite a while myself, so please do check out Matt Green. This is the latest from him.
It's been another breathless week in American politics as Donald Trump rips up old certainties and alliances. We're joined now by former Tory MP and current podcaster, the Right Honourable Geoffrey Jeffrey. Hello! Yes, every week I shoot the tea, spill the breeze, and generally have a good old chinwagon about the state of the world. And what's it called? Oh God, the rest is Geoffrey. And who's your co-host? Oh no, it's just me. I wanted the chance to express my unvarnished opinions without fear or favour, without worrying about somebody interrupting or editing me. Right? Also, no one else wanted to do it. Turning to Donald Trump then, what's been your reaction to his extraordinary pronouncements this week? Well, the thing you have to remember about Donald Trump is he's always looking for a deal, and we have to help him make a good one. Trump said that President Zelensky is a dictator and has a 4% approval rating. To be fair, that does sound low. But it's not true, the latest polls show him at over 50%. Well, Trump possibly just misspoke then, didn't he? I mean, 4% does sound a bit like 50%. Trump also said that Ukraine started the war. Is that not just classic victim blaming? He's just trying to shock us in Europe into doing something. Really? Yes, it's all a clever plan. He wants to make it look like he's blaming Ukraine to get the Europeans off their backsides and get us involved. What? And to be fair, if you look at it from a different point of view, Ukraine did start the war. What point of view is that? Backwards through time. Have you seen Tenet or Benjamin Button? So you're not worried? Of course not. He doesn't really love Russia and hate Ukraine. It's all a ploy. Actually, and this is breaking news, Trump has just tweeted, "I love Russia and hate Ukraine. Zelensky must go," followed by 5 exclamation marks, and also, "This is not a ploy." Yeah, that's very clever. I think he's speaking in code. He's also tweeted a picture of himself as a king. Does that not concern you? I love the king. And anyway, it's obvious he's just joking. He's actually just tweeted, "I'm not joking, I really am a king." Come on, he's a funny guy. Okay, now he's tweeting, "Funny how? Do I amuse you? Am I a clown?" He's really committing to the bit. I love it. More tweets coming in. Now Trump is saying, "Who is this Gerald idiot? He is an embarrassment to England and should be in prison." Oh, and Elon Musk has just quote tweeted that with the words, "Who this cuck?" Oh my God, Elon mentioned me. Did he tag in the podcast? Is there really nothing Trump could say that would get you to condemn him? You're just being silly. America is an important ally and we have to respect the president. Oh, another Trump tweet. "I like Keir Starmer, he's a good guy." I'm sorry, he's gone too far now. That is basically treason. Thank you, Geoffrey. Sign up to my Patreon. Next up, as news of the Pope's declining health hits the headlines, we ask, has Conclave's Oscar campaign gone too far?
Very good indeed from Matt Green. So give him a follow on YouTube or check him out at mattgreencomedy.com. Graham Turner, great to see you in the chat. Thanks for joining us once again. Michael H as well. A very warm welcome to you this evening. I'm going to stick with something light-hearted still now, and then I'm going to try and segue into something else in what could be seen in slightly poor taste, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I spotted this earlier, which someone else spotted. And a bus stop in London. Yes, the swastika Teslas. And they go from 0 to 1939 in 3 seconds. I do like these kind of protest adverts where they get them in a place that a legitimate advert normally would be. Great stuff, yeah. The swastikas. And let's be honest, people, well, I've got to admit, every time I see a Tesla now, you know, there's only one word that comes into my head. And I feel tempted to shout it on occasion as they pass. Yeah, the swastika. Great stuff. So I'm not sure who's responsible for this, but Well done to them. And goodness me, let's see if I can get away with this one. So speaking of the far right in Germany, we're now going to go and get an update from yesterday's election. What do you say, people? Huh? Oh, tough crowd. Yeah, so perhaps a segue in slightly poor taste there, but we're going to get the latest there before we go on to matters in Ukraine. We're aware of the results, but there have been some interesting figures to look at, especially where demographics are concerned. I'm just going to dive into that for a bit. So this is the latest from the Beeb. Just turn the background music down slightly. So obviously the Conservatives got the most votes, but they don't have an outright majority. Still waiting to see who they're going to form a coalition with. Friedrich Merz is the leader and looks set to become Chancellor. But as we discussed yesterday, the AfD doubled its support to 20.8% and has spread out from its support base in the east to become the biggest political force in Parliament. Going to look at that demographic shortly. It's very clear cut. It's quite bizarre just how clear cut down the middle of the country it is, with the AfD picking up most of the votes from East Germany. Which ironically, obviously used to be Soviet, pre-Berlin Wall. That is the falling of the Berlin Wall. So the SPD, who were the outgoing party, have the worst performance in decades and only got 16.4% of the votes. So look at this map. You can see there all the AfD votes in the east, most of the west, and the south as well, voting for CDU. So that's a very interesting demographic, I think. Also, whilst alarmingly it was a record vote for the AfD, the left, that is the party literally called left, who appear to have come back from the brink and have had their best result for a while. So it's not all doom and gloom, even though it's Conservatives, Christian Conservatives in first place, the AfD in second place. It's quite bizarre, and gender comes into this as well. Where demographics are concerned, apparently a lot of females contributed towards this surge in the Greens and the Left Party. That is the one literally called Left. It's going to get a bit confusing here. Yeah. Don't bring me into it either. But where the right wing's concerned, that's majority of the male vote. So like West and East, again similar polarity or duality as well. Very, very clear cut. So let me know what you think about those demographics, as well as it being the biggest turnout for 40 years. 82.5%, that's whopping. Much higher than the last election that we had, a lot higher than the one that Germany had 4 years ago when it was 76.6. Last year was in the 60s, the median 60s. Not great. A lot of people sat on their arse and gave Starmer the so-called loveless landslide, but that's another matter. So they're the full results. There you can see the left come back to 8.8%. Incidentally, a lot of people in the left have family roots in the German Communist Party. And like I said yesterday, the Greens in Germany are somewhat to the right of the Greens here in the UK as well. Then you have SPD, who are, again, centre-right. So yeah, let's get into age demographics, and according to this article they're calling them the TikTok generation, hauls back the left from the dead. So as I was saying there, until a few weeks ago the Left Party looked doomed when one of its leading lights, Sarah Wagenknecht, went off and founded her own more populist party with 8 other MPs. Her popularity soared for a while as head of her BSW party, but ultimately fell just below the 5% threshold for getting into Parliament. The story was very different for Die Linke, the left, which came back from the dead with an inspirational social media campaign. Heidi Reicheneck, Die Linke's co-chair, went viral after she gave a speech enthusiastically defending the firewall against the AfD. She now has 580,000 followers on TikTok, and her post attracted 7 million views, not bad. And they got just under 9% of the vote, so that's pretty good seeing as most people had written them off. That's the leader there, Heidi Reicheneck. I guess if I lived in Germany, they probably would have been who I would have voted for. So young people really getting behind the left, which is, it's good to hear. I always like to see socialism anywhere in the world active amongst young people, people who are just leaving or at university. So where was I? Let's just look at a few more of these demographics. So there you see. A lot more men voting for the AfD than women. And a lot more women voting for the left, Die Linke, than men. Also more women voting for the SPD, who were the outgoing party as well. AfD denied their fascism, which is quite obvious to anyone whose IQ's bigger than the shoe size, but they describe themselves as libertarian, I believe. Yeah, right. members of other parties have said that this is as far as they'll go. Whilst they're celebrating this, they are saying that it will be the peak of their popularity. I'd like to hope so myself. But like I've said so many times on this subject and others, if the centre-right, if neoliberals, if conservatives keep on doing more to vilify the left than the far right, then this is where we're going to end up. And it's becoming the case not only in Germany, but also here in the UK, very worryingly, with Reform polling higher than Labour in many cases. Got more about polls later. Just one sec, excuse me. Just taking a sip of my Solidari-Tea. Oh, there we go. So yeah, another poll. And more bad news for Labour. That's coming up, but going to get on to matters in Ukraine for now. That's all for the German election. Let me know what you think about that in the comments if you're watching back on a replay, or in the chat if you're listening live. Let's see what you're saying, people. Thanks for that recommendation, Morbius. I'll try and check that out myself. Floor Snake, great to see you. You were talking to a couple of young lads in the pub last night, nice guys but worryingly reform curious. You think you got an in, and they want to talk to you again, and you've been open that you want to persuade them. Ah, very good. Keep us posted on that. Otherwise, they were quite receptive to that more than anything else. They seemed worryingly uninformed and subscribed to disinformation. Yeah, that's happening in a lot of cases. That's how a lot of people are being duped. The more politically astute, politically aware of us will obviously pick up on syntax that people say if you do happen to get into debates, whether it's in person or online or whatever, and how often they simply just regurgitate mainstream media tropes, headlines in that system that feeds itself that I've described before, where a shit rag like the Daily Fail or whoever, the Tory Graph, print a headline, a right-wing MP will repeat that headline even though it is false or misleading. It's then seen as legitimised because someone, a member of parliament, has referred to it, and then the same publications will do another story about the member of parliament saying the thing. And it's as simple as that. It's a tactic as old as the hills, and I do hate to see people lapping it up. But you've done the right thing there, Floor Snake. You know, you try and politely, you know, inform people and keep it civil. But you see it so often. You see it so often. They're so unoriginal as well. They'll just parrot and regurgitate. They won't even stop to consider, you know, looking into the... Some of these people still say they do their own research. Yeah, mate, climate change, it's all a big hoax, mate. I've done my own research. Well, what you're saying goes against people who have been doing research and studying research of it for some decades, and they have titles like Professor and Doctor, but you want me to take what you're saying over what they're saying. Staggeringly overconfident as well. A little carried away there. But yeah, let me know your thoughts about that German election, like I was saying, before we move on. On to Ukraine now. Yeah. Things are going down. And it's not Donald Trump's cholesterol level, that's for certain. Yeah. But the whole world, it seems, is up in arms at Trump's apparent switch of sides, which he's trying to dress up as peace process, peace negotiations. But for him, it's more land grabbing, more resource grabbing. He's not really interested in peace nearly as much as he is interested in money. Ever the dollar. There was a meeting at the United Nations today on the issue. But also President Macron of France was over there to meet Trump himself. And there was another... They've got this ongoing thing. I might just play this video because they'll probably show it. This handshaking thing. Do you remember a while back? There's this very prolonged handshake between the two that seems to be mostly instigated by Trump. He's got some sort of game going on there, you know. Trying to play the big man or whatever. And then apparently it happened again when they met today. Just before I skim through the article, I want to have a quick view of this video. I think it might be in there. And it reminds me of something else, actually, historically, involving another president of the USA. But let's see if... 1 second, people. Sorry, the media volume wasn't up. We're good to go. We're good to go, people.
Thank you very much, everyone. The purpose of our meeting today is to end another battle, a really horrible one, a war, something that we haven't seen since the Second World War. The horrors of this gruesome and bloody war can scarcely be overestimated.
Today's discussion showed
D'abord,
several
la
areas
confirmation,
of
c'était une
progress.
des choses importantes pour
First,
nous. Ça fait partie de tout le travail qu'on a mené aussi avec le
have been working a
président
great
Zelensky
deal
pour essayer de bâtir
with
une proposition
President
d'action
Zelensky
qui soit
to
acceptable pour
have
l'Ukraine.
a proposal
Le
that's
fait que le
acceptable to
président
Ukraine.
Trump a conscience
Today,
d'une
when we talk
discussion de
about
paix
troops,
durable.
we're talking about sending
Et donc,
them
une fois
in
qu'il
after
y a
we've negotiated
une
a
paix
lasting
solide,
peace.
durable,
And once we
négociée,
have that
signée par
solid,
l'Ukraine
lasting
et la
peace
Russie,
that's part of an agreement signed by
dont nous
Ukraine.
serons
Do you notice what's happening again? They're all making either insinuations or promises about what will happen in Ukraine with no representative from Ukraine at the table. Trump and whoever else want to try and carve up as much as they can. Putin as well, of course. And while I'm no fan of Zelensky himself, I think he's a bit of a twat. Not that I've got any favour for Putin either. I think he's a bit of a twat. It just goes to show how people like Donald Trump think, again, that they can point at a map and we'll move these lines and we'll give this away to these people and we'll take that and you'll have this. And we'll get into that in a bit more with this mineral resource deal that's been going on, which Trump is trying to suggest is some form of repayment for the 300 or so billion in aid that Ukraine's received, but I'll get onto that after we just watch the rest of this brief clip. There's not been any handshaking in it, which is a bit disappointing.
Signed by
Garant.
Russia, and for which we will provide the
La France.
guarantees.
We're working on deals right now, transactions right now, and in particular, the big one is to get the
Deals,
the war
transactions.
stopped, whether it's ceasefire or direct to an agreement. Every day you're saving thousands.
He thinks he's still on The Apprentice, you know. This is how he runs a country.
Very quickly.
This peace must
Cette
not
paix
mean
ne
a
peut pas être un
surrender
cessez-le-feu sans
of
garantie.
Ukraine. It must not
Cette
mean a
paix doit
ceasefire
prévoir
without guarantees.
les conditions
This
d'une
peace
souveraineté
must allow
ukrainienne, permettre
for
à l'Ukraine de
Ukrainian
négocier avec les
sovereignty and
parties
allow
prenantes
Ukraine
toutes les
to
questions
negotiate
qui la
with
touchent
other
et
stakeholders
pour lesquelles elle est
regarding the
seule
issues
légitime à
it
négocier.
affects.
Oh, there it is. Oh, they didn't show the whole thing. Apparently, yeah, Trump didn't let go of his hand for ages, and there was another awkward thing. You're right there. It's absolute extortion, Graham. Totally true. Let's bring up the background music. Bear with me. Okay, people. Let's see what's happening just before I get into the article. I did say this handshaking incident reminded me of something historically. Apparently, one of Lyndon B. Johnson's methods of trying to intimidate or assert his dominance over political opponents and other foreign dignitaries and attachés was when shaking hands. He was a very tall, broad fella, Lyndon B. Johnson, who succeeded JFK. Of course, he was sworn in on a plane on Air Force One shortly after the assassination of JFK. But he would then get very close, very up close, and sort of look down onto the top of people's heads while he was shaking the hands and not let go, but not like an extended arm, sort of with the elbow very bent so that he sort of drew them into his body, and he'd be right there. And apparently people have said that he didn't have particularly good breath, and he was notorious for doing that. So you'd see whoever it was that he'd be meeting and shaking hands with sort of struggling and, you know, trying to be polite, but clearly in a very uncomfortable situation. And I certainly wouldn't like to get that up close and personal to Trump either. By the by, I've heard that he absolutely reeks of shite, and I do mean literally, because he passes wind so often because of all the garbage junk food that he eats. We've seen footage in the past of him sitting in crowds, again with other dignitaries, and they look somewhat uncomfortable even when they just sort of sat around him. So they say. That's the word on the street, people, and I've got some pretty good sources. Politics Clive, great to see you in the chat. How you doing? More handshake than a salt shaker, yeah. So what's been happening today? I do have another clip coming up that's quite interesting. Macron had to cut off Trump and sort of fact check him in real time while I was trying to give some dis or misinformation in the conference. But let's just take a look at this. Yeah, the minerals. So a senior Ukraine official has said that they're close to agreeing a minerals deal with the United States. Remember, at first they said absolutely not, no way, that they were going to exchange minerals for support. But Kyiv estimates about 5% of the world's critical raw minerals are in Ukraine. That includes millions of tons of graphite, which is used to make batteries for electric vehicles. I think it's somewhere in the region of 90 million tons of graphite, the estimate is down there. Ukraine also has a third of all European lithium deposits, the key component in current batteries. Also, now, I don't want to sound like I've got the tin hat on or anything, people, but I'm going to throw this bone your way. What do you say to this? Do you know anyone who Donald Trump might currently be associated with who might need access to lithium batteries? Let's say for, oh god, I'll just pick any old appliance or thing. What about an electric car? Say, for example. You know what I'm talking about. So prior to the Russian invasion, Ukraine's global share of titanium production, a lightweight metal used in construction of everything from aeroplanes to power stations, was at 7%. Furthermore, Ukraine has significant deposits of rare earth minerals. These are a group of 17 elements that are used to produce weapons, wind, turbines, electronics and other products vital in the modern world. Some of the mineral deposits, however, have been seized by Russia. According to Ukraine's economy minister, resources worth $350 billion, that's 277 billion pounds, remain in occupied territories today. That's a big old chunk of change. Putin seems to be laughing his tits off at the deal. He says he's ready to work with foreign partners, including Americans, on developing reserves of rare earth metals and strategic minerals in Russian-occupied parts of Ukraine. So, it's like, so you want to sell this stuff that is in the bits that we're occupying? Yeah, okay then. I'll take you $350 billion. Because that's what he's going to do. That's what Trump's going to do, isn't it? He's going to give $350 billion. Or he's going to buy $350 billion worth of rare earth minerals from Putin. Yeah. He's got him wrapped around his little finger, hasn't he? And he doesn't even know it. He thinks he's the great peacemaker, taking strides across the world. You want peace? I'll give you peace. Gaza, boom. Ukraine, bang. Well, like I said earlier, sounds more like the last trimester of the gestation period of World War III. Just quickly on the topic of resources in Ukraine, it's also known as the breadbasket of the world. Did you know that 80% of the world's wheat comes from Ukraine? That's another interesting factor to consider within this conflict, but also within the realms of the climate crisis. Because it is in the sort of areas that will see the harshest effects of global warming first. So it's a severe risk, this huge breadbasket that we have. But also another reason why the superpowers of the world are clambering over Ukraine, are fighting over these resources, these minerals. I think wheat's going to come into it as well. Not just as a commodity, but also, as I pointed out there, something that's going to be massively affected by the ongoing climate crisis, climate breakdown. Another fact to consider. And it's the same with other places as well. America wants to get to it before places become uninhabitable. So let's sum this up with a few bullet points before we go through that clip that I mentioned. It's pretty good actually. C'est très bon. Très bien. So Trump told reporters praising Macron's role in the negotiations that a lot of good things towards peace are happening. He also said that he wants to recoup a colossal amount of United States money from Ukraine, that European countries must help foot the bill to secure peace, and that process is being made on the US-Ukraine minerals deal. Macron himself said peace must not mean a surrender of Ukraine and spoke of required security guarantees, all while praising Trump and the United States as being a good friend to France. Oh God, does that just make your skin crawl? He also said neither he nor Trump want a fragile truce, and the pair are working to ensure a measurable truce and peace is achieved. Trump also said his whole life is deals, and he truly believes Putin wants to reach an agreement. Yeah, this is the guy who's pretty much bankrupted everything he's ever touched. When you look at real estate, Trump casinos, Trump hotels, Trump steaks, all this, you know, from calamity to calamity. Golf courses. He wanted to build a golf course in Scotland. Now he's banned from fucking Scotland. That's how shit he is. His overconfidence is staggering. Keith's going to be there this week in America to meet with Trump. That's going to be pretty interesting. Officially, we, the UK, have remained allied with the Ukraine in all of this, which goes against what Trump's doing. Quite unprecedented, especially where international diplomacy is concerned. We normally always go the same way as America. Just another thing on the topic of diplomacy before I show you this clip of Macron fact-checking Trump live. What's also interesting now is that despite being a previous critic, obviously, of China, quite often and repeatedly, Trump, in a proxy fashion, has almost now aligned himself with China, as Russia and China aligned on so many issues themselves. It also contradicts the United States position in support of Israel in the illegal occupation of Palestine, of course, as Russia and China, even though they're not active, they are allied against Israel. That is not militarily active. So it's a really strange one. It's a really strange one. And also, I think it was on the topic of Ukraine, there was some document that was signed today. I think it might have been in relation to this meeting at the United Nations, where America, the United States of America that is, and North Korea were in league in signing a document. So very bizarre times, diplomatically. Bizarre, if that's what you want to put it. Batshit crazy. Terrifying. Choose your own adjectives. Good point there, Floor Snake, as well. The type of negotiation has many moving parts. And they're saying they're so close, but that's been said so many times before. And then it all comes crashing down. Yeah. It's like, yeah, that's the overconfidence. Everything's overstated. So let's take a look at this, people. Here's one to enjoy. I'm going to have to interject a couple of times. It's on the subject of financial reparations for support. Trump's claiming that he's got a different deal than countries in Europe. That Ukraine are going to be paying back European countries when they're not going to be paying back the United States. And Trump really can't stand for it, and he jumps in and intercedes straight away.
Again, just so you understand, Europe is loaning the money to Ukraine. They get their money back.
No, in fact, to be frank, we paid 60% of the total effort, and it was through, like the US, loans.
Exactly. Like, I'm just going to take that back a minute because I love the part where he puts his hand on Trump's arms and just, you know, straight away he's not having it, you know. Fermez votre bouche, Monsieur Trump. Vous parlez merde.
There was a one to aggress.
Again, just so you understand, Europe is loaning the money to Ukraine. They get their money back.
No, in fact, to be frank,
Just there, it's like, you know, when you sort of it's a comedy trope, you know. You've got the family, and you've got the sort of grandparent of the family who has some very outdated views, shall we say, and someone has to, no. Just the fact that he puts his hand there on his arm, and Trump looks utterly shocked, you know. He's used to bootlickers and all the rest of it, and yes men and arse kissers. He's not used to, doesn't like being criticised, he always throws his toys out the pram. But this happening live, during a live press conference, I think it's pretty well done for Macron, who's a bit of a dick himself. I mean, look at the state of France. They voted for the socialists, Macron, and then you put up a neoliberal to step down. And now he's kissing Trump's ass. But he's also right to correct him, I guess.
we paid 60% of the total effort, and it was through, like the US, loans, guarantee, grants, and we provided.
Did you hear that word, loans? Loans, which strongly suggests repayment of some sort. There are some grants, and then there are other guarantees, as he said, where the repayments guaranteed. Again, another form of a loan. And so Trump, when he's caught out, you know, this is the tactic he uses.
Of the total effort, and it was.
He's been straight up corrected there, and that just shaking his head, maybe this, maybe that. He does that a lot when he's talking and speculating over what will happen in the future. Donald Trump, he will describe both outcomes, and he'll say maybe this, maybe that, and then sometime down the road pretend that he predicted it. But here, live on TV, he's like straight up been corrected, and Trump's acting as though there's some sort of grey area. Well, you could sort of see it like that. It's like, no, these are facts. It's drawn up in agreements that they are loans. So no, it's not a case of countries in the EU getting their money back when the United States doesn't. Not at all. And the EU have contributed more collectively, the countries of the EU, than the United States as well.
US, loans, guarantee, grants, and we provided real money, to be clear. We have 230 billion frozen assets in Europe.
Trump's chair's made of cheese. Yeah, I've not noticed that one before. That's probably why they've not got the fire on. Do you know when they normally have these talks, you saw him there with Netanyahu the other week, and then he's done quite a few press interviews in this setting with the fire roaring in the background, and that's probably the reason why, because it was gonna be a grilled cheese, as they call it in America. Just need a few slices of toast and a good cup of Solidari-Tea. Hot, tasty beverage. What are you saying, people? Make sure you've hit thumbs up on the stream and stuff. Give us a share on your social media. This is quality streaming.
Russian assets, but this is not as a collateral of a loan, because this is not our belonging. So they are frozen. If at the end of the day, in the negotiation we will have with Russia, they're ready to give it to us, super. It will be loan at the end of the day, and Russia will have paid for that.
If you
This is my
believe
wish.
that, it's okay with me.
It's okay. See, he's always got to pretend that he's got the final authority on this or that. Oh, I'm in charge. Yeah, you're right there too, Red F. Macron did say he'd rather work with the far right than the left. And that's what leads to this neoliberal shit show, opening the door for the far right, as I said before. Yes, Jacqueline was using the polite tense there. I should have said tu parles. Merde, Monsieur Trump. Oh, he certainly does. They should have a special orange chair. Yeah, that'd be strange. It would just be like, you just see You just see the sort of teeth and the hair and the eyes. It'd be kind of weird.
Mr. President.
They get their money back, we don't, and now we do. But
He just told you that you don't, and he has to say it again. Just right at the end. Just right at the end. He's literally just been corrected. But he won't have it. He won't have it. Goes in one ear and out the other. That's not true. Oh, God. This fucking guy. What a douchebag. I believe it's Thursday when Keith's due to go over to the States. Good point there about him being made of wood. They better keep the fire off. Or don't, perhaps. Hey, doesn't that mean he's a witch? Yeah. That's got to mean he's a witch. Think about it. He's made of wood. So obvious now. Oh God, yeah, what a giveaway.
Oh, what a giveaway. Did you hear that? Did you hear that, eh? That's what I'm on about.
Thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, Floor Snake with the orange chair, you just see an empty suit. I'll catch you back in a bit, Red F. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, people. Let's see what we've got coming up next. But of course, I mentioned Alexander Boris Defaffel Johnson has thrown his 2 cents into the ring on this matter. We'll come on to that in one quick moment. I'll never just call him the B word. I guess except when I'm pointing out his obvious associations with Russia and Putin, I will say that he does like to adopt his first name as this character, the sort of messy-haired, scraggly Boris the Clown kind of character thing that he puts on. Obviously, no, seriously, genuinely, people. Behind closed doors, when he's talking to his friends, when he's talking to other MPs, and God knows who, you know. They all call him Alex, they all call him Alexander, which is his actual first name. The Boris thing is just a facade. He's a nasty piece of work. So that's why I always give him his full title, Alexander Boris Defaffel Johnson. Not just because it's such a ridiculous name. It's like he's got a running contest with Jacob Rees-Mogg's family. Or Elon Musk's kids. You know them, little hashtag exclamation mark /.com junior or whatever he's called. But yeah, Johnson thinks it would be a good idea to secede and give away these raw minerals. Because I bet that's just what he'd do if he was still the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, people. Yeah, bear with me just one moment, people. I'll get this lined up. Talk amongst yourselves for a few seconds. Alright, so this is, we're going to go over to Twitter now. Always Twitter, never X. I spotted this on Marina Perkis's feed earlier, and so I'm just waiting for this to reload. Yeah, she comments on the clip, but also what she said in the post about the video as well. I think it's definitely worth mentioning. And we'll take a look through some of the comments as well. Although we were. That's the one. Okay. So, she described him as a great quote, a pathetic windsock of a man. Trump's minerals deal on offer to Ukraine has been described as a literal, as literal extortion, as it was on tonight's live stream as well. Actually, good preemptive call there. And yet, invertebrate. Boris Johnson backs it. Shameful. Let's have a look at the video. Just kill the background music. And yeah, it's on the Jeremy Vile show, Vine, I should say. Just skip back to the. Let's get back to the start there. I don't know why he thinks it's probably been put up by Putin himself, hasn't he? Johnson, that's why he's sticking his oar into this topic, let's be honest. And he's backed up by Russia and has been exposed as a friend of Putin some time ago. Sorry people, I'm just checking this is coming through smooth. Getting an error message up. A few of you might be experiencing a bit of lag. Okay. Soldier through.
Some words from Boris Johnson, who's in Kyiv today in Ukraine, and he spoke to Good Morning Britain about the minerals deal that Trump is trying to strike with the Ukrainians.
I believe that we're very close to getting this minerals agreement signed between the United States and Ukraine, and that commits the US not only to future financing of Ukraine, but also to a free, sovereign and secure Ukraine. I think that it's positive for Ukraine. And don't forget, the fundamental loser in all that is going to be Putin.
I don't understand that.
Oh my God.
No, Zelensky's getting put over a barrel. He's going to lose. He's the one who loses out. This faux attack on Putin. Well, we all know he's great mates with Putin. We all know that. Just, oh.
Boris Johnson, you disgusting.
Well, Sam used to work for him.
Sell out.
Yes. What's going on?
Yeah, good question though, Doc Davies. I was thinking that myself. Who's we? Did you notice? We'll just go back a bit. He mentioned we. He's talking about we. Who's the we? Is that him and Putin?
Agreement signed between the United States.
Ukrainians.
believe that we're very close to getting this minerals
We're very close.
agreement signed
We're
between
very close.
the United States and Ukraine. And that commits the US not only to future financing of Ukraine, but also to a free, sovereign, and secure Ukraine. I think that it's positive for Ukraine. And don't forget, the fundamental loser in all that is going to be Putin.
I don't understand that.
Oh my.
Yeah, Graham, you've hit the nail on the head there. It's owning. It's not financing, it's owning. They all want to carve it up for themselves. So let's see how Marina Perkis responds to that from Johnson.
My God, Boris Johnson, you disgusting.
Well, Sam used to work for him.
Sell out.
Yes.
What's going on?
Yeah, look, the Ukrainians...
Sold them out.
Well, I wouldn't go... I'm not sure about that. The Ukrainians have received, I mean, excess of $200 billion from both Europe and the States. Yeah. About half of that is from the States. Now, what Donald Trump is arguing is that Joe Biden gave them the money scot-free. It's a big grant. Whereas with Europe, it was a combination of both grants and loans. So Donald Trump is saying, for us to continue to support you, we're going to need something back. Yeah. And so that is what's being negotiated.
But Boris shouldn't be saying that's a good idea.
Hang on. So the value of giving away those minerals that Trump is after, because he's just desperate to get something, is worth more than what the Treaty of Versailles cost Germany in terms of reparations. And Germany were an enemy, not an ally.
Boom. Boom. Slam dunk. Did you hear that, people? Did you hear that, people? The value of these minerals, including 90 million tonnes of graphite that I mentioned earlier, would be greater than what Germany had to give away when they signed the Treaty of Versailles at the end of World War I. Yeah. And they lost. At the time, obviously, they were enemies of ours, and now you're talking about a supposed ally having to pay an exorbitant amount. No, we are literally, this is a burglary happening live on your screens day by day, news story by news story. It's capitalist theft, people, is what it is. Would Johnson be happy to do the same if he was in the same position? Does he think that the British public would put up with that? Was his supposed love of sovereignty now that he's not campaigning for us to leave the European Union? He doesn't seem to value sovereignty so much when it concerns Ukraine, when it concerns the natural resources. No, sovereignty can go out the window. It can take a long walk off a short pier. It can get in the fucking sea, as far as Alexander Boris de Faffel Johnson's concerned. Nearly did it then. Spot on from Marina Perkis. There's a bit more.
How can you, with a country that is reeling from war, how can you then punish them like this?
But it sounds as if Boris Johnson is going towards this deal now. Right?
Yeah, because what he's saying is ultimately if America are more invested in Ukraine, not just through the acquisition of money, etc., then they're more likely to ensure the safety continues.
So it's like, it's okay. We're here to help. Oh, great. So we've been in need of help for some time. How can you help us? Well, we're going to take all of your natural resources. Doesn't that sound like a great deal? Just sign here. Don't read the small print. Just trust us. We're America. Well said, very well said there, Marina Perkis. Let's have a look at some of the comments as well. Here you go. This is what Johnson doesn't want you to know. Dirty money. he accepted 200 grand from Russia days after refusing to publish the Russian interference report. Coincidence? The largest single donation received in the first week of the campaign was 200k from Lyubov Chernukin, who's the wife of Russian oligarch Vladimir Chernukin. And that's not, it's okay, we'll get the taxi, you just sort us out in the morning, is it? That's 200 grand. That's 200 grand. I saw this one earlier as well. A great meme there. I don't know if you can read the speech bubble, but it says, you need protection, a little muscle. You know, we can help for a price, you know, capiche? Well, if you want to know what's coming to go, it's Ukraine's minerals that are coming to go, or more, just going actually. Oh look, who's this? Yes, it's a KGB assets that ended up in the House of Lords, of course. How did he get there? Who put him there? Oh, that's right. It was this absolute shitbag on the left of your screen. Yeah, give Marina Perkis a follow. Always great panel TV appearances, as well as you saw there. It's like the cops turning up after a burglary and say they're going to have to take your copper wiring. Yeah, good point there, Politics Clive. It's just like that. Dominic Jones, good evening. Thanks for joining us. Great to see you once again. Right, people, before I move on, quick reminder, please do make sure you've hit thumbs up on the stream. Also, if you're just joining us, there's a poll that's still open until the end of the stream. Who's going to quit first? Do you think it's going to be Starmer or Zelensky? That is, who do you think will quit first, not who would you prefer? Who would you like to quit first? So please do participate in the poll if you've not done so already. I'll be revealing the results a bit later. If you're watching live as well, and you do have the means of jumping in the comments, please do. As you're watching live, that's another great way of boosting us on the algorithm, whatever you want to say. Could say Solidari-Tea, quality streaming, something like that. No, seriously, if you can, that would really help out. So thanks a lot for your continued support here on My Left Eye. Okay, up next, whilst we're on Twitter, I'm going to go to another post I saw earlier. It's a great compilation of Zippy Hotovely, whoever it's pronounced. The Israeli spokes, who is embarrassingly awful, perhaps equally as bad as David Mensa. So it's just a sort of reminder of some of the crap that she's been saying. But also, you might remember this Gaza documentary has been pulled from BBC iPlayer, and she's thrown her hat into the ring on this. Just going to refresh that one moment. Yeah, obviously she's over the moon that it's been withdrawn. It's, well, according to her, given her another opportunity to push some more Israel propaganda. Let's see what's happening. If you do want to see full version of that documentary, please do check out yesterday's live stream. There's a link in the description for that. If you've not seen it, it really is very moving footage. So this is what Gobshites had to say. She says, following my letter to the Director General, that is of the BBC, she welcomes the decision to pull the documentary from its online platform with immediate effect. However, the fact remains that this production should have never been made it to air, given the undeniable bias of both the camera crew and its contributors. Yeah, they biasly showed you all the destruction which was there for all to see. She says, this ordeal brings into question the BBC's journalistic standards and its commitment to impartiality and its credibility. A full and transparent review into how this documentary was produced and released must now follow. Yeah, as Jeff Goldblum would say, that is one big pile of shit. When you look at examples of Israel propaganda, do you remember them going around the hospitals with this the so-called evidence of Hamas bases that were clearly set up, and doctored footage and whatnot, let alone all of the lies and misinformation that they put out on social media? No, this was a boots on the ground documentary from the perspective of a 13-year-old Gazan, and it's not been doctored. There's no setups in there. It's the bare truth. But that's something that people like David Mensa and Zippy Patovli are out there to try and deny, to try and suppress, to try and censor. But it's not working. It's completely pathetic tactics, so she can't even keep a story straight herself when you see this compilation of clips. She just pulls statistics out of thin air. And the overriding factor is that anything that's put to her about Israel's actions in the absolute, truly narcissistic sense, those facts, those accusations, they have the absolute gall to accuse Hamas of being guilty of. Just absolute lying scumbags. Okay, strap yourselves in, people.
Take a safer shelter in the south area of Gaza. We will minimize casualties.
There have been targets in the south, though, haven't they?
No, we have no interest in hurting innocent people. Our only target is Hamas facilities. Excuse me?
You are bombing them.
Oh, really? We are trying to do our best to minimize casualties.
Oh, really? Yeah. Do you, like, She's surprised. Is that like sarcasm, or is she just completely? She thinks that she thinks that the words coming out of her mouth can override the tremendous amount of video footage and all of the photography that we've seen and the live reports from those journalists who are still actually in Gaza that they've brought to the world. Bombing them? No, we've not dropped any bombs. Really?
7,000 dead.
Some of them are terrorists, as you know.
Not all of them.
We're not targeting civilians. We're just targeting.
What percentage do you think are terrorists?
I believe over 50%.
There are 5 times as many dead Palestinians as there are dead Israelis.
95% of them terrorists. Israel is doing things that not even one.
Killing them.
The army. We're not killing them. It's Hamas that's killing them.
We have been showing images this morning that illustrate that there is a humanitarian crisis in Gaza.
So blame Hamas.
Right now,
it's Hamas.
Israel is not allowing journalists to go into Gaza
It's Hamas.
without
It's Hamas
Israeli military
limitation.
censorship.
It's Hamas that is not giving people in.
But you're going to starve civilians. That's the impact.
That's your mistake. It's Hamas that is.
And again, it's Hamas. And as you're saying in the chat there, it is a bit rich for BBC and other outlets to be saying this. I'll come on to that, shortly. So he could, I mean, in this case, it's Krishna Guru Murthy. He could say, you are, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of an example. You are sat in a chair. The chair is Hamas. You know. If she got involved in, let's say that she came out of this interview, she goes down to the car park, she's backing out of her car parking space and hits another car. She would get out of the car and insist, when confronted by the other driver, that it was Hamas. She could slip on a fucking banana peel in the street and she'd blame Hamas.
Is to be blamed.
Victims are also the 10,000 Palestinians dead.
They are victims of their own leadership. Why should they be refugees after 70 years of...
You know, shocking. They're victims of their own leadership. They made us bomb them. They made us order the IDF to target children, to target journalists, to the extent that doctors were outraged and appalled at the number of gunshot wounds on children were coming through their hospitals, and have in fact spoken about this in committees in the UK as well. Hamas didn't do that. The lack of responsibility is just beyond comprehension. Disgusting. This woman really makes my piss boil.
Having independent life. Everyone were exposed in social media about what exactly they did, how they killed and executed children in front of their parents in front of their children, raped innocent women. The people of Gaza were celebrating that. Every school.
That didn't happen. And again, the IDF have been doing that. That's what the IDF have been doing. They're the ones using human shields.
Every mosque, every second house has and access to tunnel. So this is, and of course ammunition.
But that's an argument for destroying the whole of Gaza, every single building in it.
So do you have another solution?
The two-state solution is dead.
Why are you obsessed with a formula that never worked? That you get.
The formula never worked because you couldn't stop invading and occupying your neighbours. You've been doing so since 1948. That's why the two-state solution hasn't worked, as you put it. I don't recall Palestine invading Israel. I don't recall that happening any time since 1948.
From their
You
homes.
get at the moment. Excuse me.
There is a phrase for that.
Over 100,000 Israelis don't live in their homes at the moment. Do you know that?
Lies. That's just another lie. 100,000 Israelis don't live in their homes at the moment. The only way that might be true is that you're already trying to sell people in the United States and Europe property that you're illegally occupying in Gaza that you've just razed to the ground, but they've not been built yet and they've not moved in yet. Are they the 100,000 people who she's referring to? If she's trying to imply that 100,000 Israelis have been displaced in this conflict, that again is absolute bullshit.
This is huge missile. And think about it, falling in the middle of a city like Jerusalem. We're now in beautiful scenery of Jerusalem, but look how populated it is. Just think about it, hitting neighborhoods and people and children. It would have been a disaster. I don't want to live next to an enemy that doesn't see me as a human being.
Do you accept there is also
and
anti-Palestinian racism, Arab racism?
No.
Well, we heard, for example, Yoav Gallant saying that Palestinians were animals, and that's a direct quote. So again, the narcissism. Everything that they are, they accuse Hamas of being, they accuse Palestinian civilians of being. And yet, mainstream media are culpable as well, especially, we've heard a lot of times on the BBC, people point out the latest atrocities or the latest death toll, and every single time they will cut in and say, oh, of course, you know that Israel would deny this. I'm just trying to think of different examples. Let's say that they were reporting on Ted Bundy, and at the time he was carrying out his murders and whatnot, and discussing that. And, oh no, of course he would deny this. Do they do the same for Vladimir Putin when they're reporting on Ukraine? No, they don't. Very interesting selective corrections that they put out. Let's have a look at a couple of the comments on here. I'm not sure there's going to be too much love. Acting dumb. Yep, that's true. Israel killed an average of 41 children every day last year. Giving this psychopath a platform says a lot about our media. Yes, it does. Other people go on to say she really is human waste. Vile woman, can't stand that adult film actress. Not heard about that. It's probably not true. She's a total maniac. Mind-boggling. It goes on. Yeah, it is totally mind-boggling. What do you think about these people? Let us know in the chat or in the comments. And if you're watching back on replay. She should have been thrown out of the UK. Yeah, agree with that. Oh, they're absolutely dunking. Absolutely dunking on Zippy Hotaveli. Otovely. Tomato. Yeah. BUFU, Mike. There will be uproar if Europe offered to send peacekeeping forces into Gaza and the West Bank, like they did in Ukraine. I've done previous videos about herself as well as David Mensa, who's another awful Israeli spokesperson as well. Please do check them out if you're quite new to the channel, as well as other content. I'm going to come back home to some domestic, a domestic story now from the UK. The Waspy women. I mentioned threatening legal action. Let's see what's happening there. Sorry, people had a problem with the mic there for a minute or two. No idea why it just cut off. Yeah, I just think this is atrocious. It's only 10.5 billion. We've got an economy of almost 2 trillion. Again, a bottomless pit of money for war, but you can't compensate women who've worked hard their whole lives, just want to enjoy the retirement, and now they're getting ripped off to make up for the financial deficit that bankers and stock market traders and regulators left us in. Yeah, apologies again about the sound cutting out, not sure what happened. That does happen on occasion. Apologies, I didn't notice my sound level bar while I was scrolling through the article. What do you think about this, people? I don't mean the tech issue. If you're a waspy woman, please do let us know in the chat live, or if you're watching back on a replay. Shocking. Vicky Clee, great to see you in the chat as well. Just another quick update as well on this story. Another story from the UK. Do you remember Mike Amesbury, who punched one of his constituents? Yeah, he's been imprisoned for 10 weeks. Let's see what's happening. I'm not sure if I can get away with showing the original video of the incidents. Not sure if that'll be in the T's and C's, but I can tell you. He did admit punching the man to the ground. Like I said, he's got 10 weeks. Amesbury, who's 55 and represents Runcorn and Helsby. See, I'm getting paranoid about the sound now. Keep going back to check the sound. It looks like it's all good. Where was I? Yeah, represents Runcorn and Helsby as an independent MP. It says he was suspended following the incident, and he pled guilty to assaulting a 45-year-old called Paul Fellows after video footage emerged showing the confrontation. He had his Labour whip removed in Frodsham, Cheshire, which happened in the early hours of 26th of October last year. The judge said his actions were a result of anger and a loss of emotional control. He was taken to the cells immediately, and an application for bail is pending, was refused. The magistrate also said, "I have to say that I have seen a single punch to the head cause fatal injuries, but note the limited injuries in this case. I note to you, Mr. Amesbury continued to punch Mr. Fellows when he was on the ground and continued to shout at Mr. Fellows. I consider this more culpable." He did have to be held back by some bystanders as well, and he shouted at him while he was on the ground. Apparently, he shouted, "You'll think twice before you insult your MP," or something like that. So he was also ordered to pay £200 compensation, cost of £85 and a surcharge of £154. The jail sentence means voters in Amesbury constituency can remove the independent MP from his seat with a recall petition. That would, of course, lead to a by-election, so we'll see if that happens. He was with Labour before he was an independent, so I think that's quite likely to happen. But it looks like Reform feel as though they're in with a shout of winning the seat. They've called for him to stand down so a by-election could be held. The great people of Runcorn deserve far better than waiting 6 weeks for a recall petition to take place, he says. Well, keep you posted on that. Developments. 10 weeks. 10 weeks for assaulting someone. But you can get 5 years for having a Zoom call if you're a climate protester, of course. Is that justice? Let me know in the chat, let me know in the comments what you think. BUFU Mike, he's actually your MP, and you were part of a group online that helped get him elected in 2017 under Corbyn. It seems those days are long gone. There were comparisons, speaking of previous iterations of the Labour Party, there were comparisons drawn between this at the time and at the time of the incident, and when John Prescott punched a member of the public way back in, that was either the late 90s or the early 2000s, I believe. And I remember some discussions about that when this incident happened, and he wasn't charged. I think Tony Blair, who was Prime Minister at the time, tried to brush it off with, oh well, that's just John, you know. And the likes of Peter Mandelson, you know, and Alistair Campbell, when being confronted about Blair's illegal invasion of Iraq along with America, would say, oh well, that's just Tony. How times have changed. So that's actually surprising. Thanks for filling us in. It's always good to hear from the constituents of MPs that we're talking about in the chat. But he's not actually a bad guy, you say? But obviously there's no excuse for those actions, just to be clear as well, as you're pointing out there. Good point, Vicky. Prescott didn't keep attacking the man once he was on the floor. It was a single punch, and I believe he had something thrown at him as well. Something hit Prescott before he hit back. He didn't just choose to attack a member of the public. As he was walking past a line of people in a crowd, it was. I have seen footage of it. Yes, Morbius. Corbyn is a very gentle, mostly soft-spoken, kind man. I've had the pleasure of crossing paths with him a couple of times myself. And he's your MP, of course, yeah, as you mentioned before. Solidari-Tea with North Islington. Of course, Starmer et al. Thought he wouldn't have a chance standing as an independent. Whoops, backed the wrong horse there. Whilst I mentioned Reform there as well, just want to show you this quick clip as well, whilst we're on the subject of Russian bribery earlier. Reform MP, former head of Reform Wales,
The former leader of Reform UK in Wales has appeared in court accused of accepting money to make statements about Ukraine in the European Parliament that would benefit Russia. Nathan Gill is charged with 8 counts of bribery and 1 count of conspiracy to commit bribery. He appeared in Westminster Magistrates Court this morning, and our reporter Mallory Williams joins us now from London. Mallory, what did the court hear?
Well, as well as leading UKIP and Reform UK in Wales for periods, Nathan Gill was a member of the European Parliament for UKIP and then the Brexit Party during 2014 and 2020. And it was some time, the court heard during that period, that he allegedly accepted money in exchange for making statements about Ukraine in the European Parliament that would benefit Russia. The court heard that Mr. Gill is alleged to have been tasked by co-defendant and former Ukrainian politician Oleg Voloshin on at least 8 occasions to make statements in return for money. Now, the court heard from prosecution barrister Richard Link, who said that Mr. Gill's phone had been seized after he was stopped at Manchester Airport in 2021, and that's where the alleged evidence was found. Mr. Gill spoke only to confirm his name, address and date of birth as he appeared via video link at Westminster Magistrates Court this morning, and he wasn't asked to enter a plea. He was granted bail on the condition that he takes his passport to Bangor police station within the next 24 hours, that he doesn't obtain international travel documents, and he isn't to contact Mr. Voloshin. He's due to appear next at the Old Bailey on the 14th of March, and Reform UK said that Mr. Gill isn't a member of the party.
Oh, what a giveaway. Did you hear that? Did you hear that, eh? That's what I'm on about.
Isn't that just typical? Yeah, what a giveaway. Obviously, still going to be a trial and whatnot, but perhaps allegedly, potentially caught out there. Allegedly. No surprise there. That's another reason, I think, why Tyson and Farage have been so quiet on Trump switching sides. We all know that they're in bed with Putin as well. Another quick matter on UK politics. Another poll has landed, and again, not looking great for Keith. That's Starmer personally this time. The poll concerned what people, or how much people think he's achieved, and these are the results. I'll be revealing the results of tonight's poll in the chat shortly as well. So please do vote in our poll that we've got in the chat. But for now, this is the latest from Stats for Lefties. So 43% think he's achieved nothing at all, 22% a slight amount, 19% a fair amount, only 11% think a significant amount, and 6% are unsure. That's from Redfield and Wilson, poll on the 18th of February 2025. 43% think he's accomplished nothing at all. Speaks for itself. Speaks for itself. Vote Labour, get Tory. As the weeks roll by, more and more people are waking up to that fact. For example, recently cooking the books on these NHS appointments, claiming to have created 2 million more appointments, where it's just underhanded accounting, shall we say. And in fact, I believe it was Stats for Lefties themselves who pointed out on Twitter the other day that they've cooked the books so much that if trends continue, then by the time of the 2029 election, waiting lists and waiting times will be over 130% the amount that they were when Labour first took office last year. So they will in fact be getting worse if they continue at the same rate. Yeah, good point, Clive. Wes has been pretty quiet recently. Maybe he's been taking our advice.
But shut up, Wesley.
Yeah. No, he's probably just busy working out the deals to sell off more of the NHS to private healthcare firms, of course. Okay, people, time for another comedy clip. This is another one from Noreen Skinner, doing her parody of Liz Truss's appearance at CPAC. I did do a video about that myself recently. If you've not checked that out, please do that after the stream. Add it to your queue, your playlist, your watch list, give it a bookmark. Yeah, please do check that out. But also, do check out Noreen Skinner if you're not familiar already. Great stuff.
Hello, it's me, Liv Truss. Now, I conquered the UK, so I've come out to the US of A to do the same thing. So, I forced myself into joining up with Trump and Musk's committee, DOGE, Doggy. I get to wear a lead in everything. Oh, Quasi, I miss you. Take me back. Let's get dogging and annihilate the West. Climate change, gone. Human Rights Act, gone. BBC, gone. Traitors, gone. Let's drill, baby, drill. And flood this zone with muskrats or musk puppies if we have some. And I'm going to be creating a new social media platform where free speech will reign. A bit like MySpace, where because I'll be the creator, everyone will have to be my friend. Move aside, Tom. And you can write anything you want, like how much you love me, want me to be president, and how much you hate the left and the deep state. No lefties allowed in MySpace. We have been repressed for too long, and our ideals help this world. We won't repeat the same mistakes again. We won't repeat the same mistakes again. Free cheese and pork for all who enter. Like my new boyfriend Elon Musk is doing, get your chainsaw out and cut the oil pipes and flood yourself with the stuff. Flood yourself. Flood! I'm not mad, I'm just realistic. Live for president. Live for president. Who's with me? Live for president. Join in. Live. No. We'll work on it. Goodbye.
Noreen Skinner there. Yeah, that actually wasn't as out there and as crazy as Liz Truss's original performance, if you can believe that or not. In many ways, parody has caught up with reality. But no, those are fantastic impressions from Noreen Skinner. My current favourite is the Rachel Reeves one, the Pet Peeves. CVs can go in the peeve bin. Yeah, really good stuff. This is a disgrace. She really is out there, Liz Truss. All right, people, quite a lengthy stream tonight. We've just gone over the 2-hour mark, so I'm going to be rounding things up shortly. Please stick around, though, because I'm going to be raiding, or redirecting, if you prefer, into another channel. Whilst I do that, I'll give another customary thank you to all of the members. Thank you so much for helping us get towards that centenary, 100 members on the channel. I'll look forward to updating the members list later, of course. Thanks for all your contributions tonight. You've been absolutely fantastic. I'm very blessed and lucky to have such a fantastic audience with the Brew crew. Thanks for all your shows of support and solidarity. You can join these awesome people whose names you can see on the screen for just 99 pence. Other perks for you to enjoy include static emojis, early viewings, that kind of business. And you'll get a shout out during live streams and at the end of videos as well. Thanks again, good people. And just a final reminder, if you're watching back on a replay, super thanks are open if you'd like to show some solidarity, even in that particular fashion. And Doc Davies, thanks for demonstrating some of the static emojis there, pre-Palestine. Graham Turner, thanks a lot for the super chat. Let's give that some appreciation. Thumbs up. Yeah, thank you so much for helping to support the channel, Graham. Hope you've enjoyed the stream. Thanks a lot for your contributions in the chat, everybody, as well. There's nobody streaming live at the moment, unless anyone's got any immediate quick recommendations, but I've just queued up the latest Navarra one that's scheduled. They're not actually live at the moment. I think Kevin Logan was on earlier, but he must have called it a night. Shout out to Kevin as well, and Helena at No Justice, who've raided into us here at My Left Eye recently too. So I'll hopefully be back with you tomorrow. I'm not 100% certain at the moment. Please keep an eye out. Hit the notification bell, which may or may not work according to recent feedback. But keep an eye out for My Left Eye tomorrow evening. I'll try and notify you and post in community and on social media in advance. But failing that, I'll be back, of course, on Wednesday if I don't catch up with you tomorrow. So that is it for tonight's show. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, there, thems and comrades alike, thanks a lot for being with me here on the Brews at 10 on My Left Eye. Enjoy the rest of your night. Take care, everybody. My Left Eye, be seeing you soon. Power to the people and free Palestine. Quickly, and finally, I forgot the result of the poll. Just back in for a minute. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, of course. 63% of you think Zelensky will quit first. 37%, pretty clear cut there. Thanks a lot for all of your contributions in the poll. That's it from me, definitely, for tonight. Okay, good night, everyone. My left, I'll be seeing you soon. Have a good evening.
The hardest, toughest days are ahead, folks, but you know what? Riyadh, Berlin, Beijing, Moscow, the city of London, right here. This is not beatable. You can't, the only way we lose is if we quit. The only way we don't have victory if we surrender. The only way that they win is we retreat. And we're not going to retreat. We're not going to surrender. We're not going to quit. Fight, fight, fight.